Welcome back to RC Racing TV's coverage of the EFRA 1/8 scale IC Euros here in Ettlingen in Germany at the MC Ettlingen facility. Our coverage presented by HB Europe, D'Agostini Model Space and EFRA. My name is Adam Johnson along with Frank McKinney, Paul Bateman and the team here out in Ettlingen in Germany. Some clouds spotted off in the distance, but they're barely big enough to matter, to be honest. It's still a beautiful sunny day and we are ready for the final round of top heat qualifying, which will set the grids, which will decide who will be at the very top end, who will be our top qualifier, who will be into our first ever Super Bowl session coming up later on, and who will end up down in the semis, quarters and beyond to try and fight their way through to become European champion in the 1/8 IC class. So here is your grid, how they'll roll off for the first of these top heats. This is the final round of qualifying, remember, so for some, the chance to get into the top 10 or become TQ may have already been lost, but for others, there is still a path open to them. And the two to watch in this one will be Bruno Coelho, who is rolling off 4th, the number 2 seed, and Alberto Pico, who's rolling off 8th, the number 8 seed. As you can see, they've split the field, inverted the top 5, and then inverted the 6 through 10. So the two to watch will be Alberto Pico and Bruno Coelho. Those are the two who are in the top 10 overall in qualifying so far, and they are the ones with a real chance to spring a surprise at the top end of town, along with other names from the earlier heats like Robin de Hont, who has had a great weekend so far, and Lamberto Calari, the multi-time world and European champion. So both of those guys fighting for top end honours. And in this heat, it is between Coelho and Pico. Coelho racing the X-Ray machine, Pico the Mugen car, to really move forward. But there's also chances for others, including Francesco Tironi, Patrick Schaefer, Mirko Salimi rolling off 2nd, Dominic Greiner, who's shown pace at certain points, and his Serpent, Nicola Morone. All of these guys have been fairly competitive at certain times throughout the weekend so far and throughout the event, but it's all about nailing those laps together and getting a good heat together. Remember, across the 5 rounds, you can drop up to 2 if you score, so it's about your best 3 results. So if you've had some poor runs so far, now's the time to try and turn it around. We watch the cars as they go around on their warm-up laps. Last minute fettling going on, last minute tinkering, and the temperatures are going up. Now remember, a lot of that fettling will be to do with changes between the qualifying sessions in the atmospheric conditions. The track will have got hotter, stickier, and changed drastically, so they'll have to adjust fuel flow settings to match that. These cars have quite a bit of adjustability in them. They have an adjustable gurney flap on the back. On that rear spoiler, you see very much raised. That's Dominic Greiner's number 5 car. There's no way that can be missed, even at very high speed, which they will be hitting right there as they go into the HB carousel. They'll be hitting over 60 miles per hour down there. But of course, between qualifying sessions, they will not have hit the track between qualifying sessions, so this warm-up is all pivotal to get the drivers adjusted back in and see if they can detect any changes which will have happened. And the track should have changed significantly since then, with more rubber going down. And that black line you see them running through, that is rubber and burnt oil forming a sort of new compound on the track. And trust me folks, I walked the track last night. It is incredibly grippy on that line. Offline, it's like falling off a cliff. There is nothing there offline. So those guys, oh, just missed the pit entry there. With these guys now coming in, they will have learnt that. They will have learnt where their car's working. They'll have learnt how the track has changed since then and what they need to do in order to progress and hopefully have a shot at going through as the top qualifier, which will lock them straight into the final. At the very least, they will try and go through to the Super Bowl rounds, which will lock another driver into the main final. And after that, they'll be into the semis, quarters, and the lower finals beyond that. So the countdown is on. Are we ready? This is our last shot. For some of these guys, it might not be. They can get up there. They may earn one last shot of redemption in the Super Bowl session, but no one wants to go through that process. They want to lock themselves in now, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Greiner leads them away. We are underway in the final round of qualifying in the top heats here in the EFRA 1/8 scale IC Euros at the MC Ettlingen facility. It's a magnificent facility out here, and we've had weather to match. And now, thanks to these guys, we will have driving skill to match. We've had phenomenal driving quality across all the heats so far, and that will only increase. And I noticed when we got here this morning, the intensity has increased. It's almost like lives are running out. Time is running out for these competitors to try and lock themselves in and give themselves the best shot at glory. And Dominic Greiner is the Pied Piper right now, leading this field round. Just tucked up behind him, he's going to have the number 6 car, Nicola Morone. There's the number 9 goes off track there at the EFRA hairpin just as they come through there. Number 9 being Merlin Depter. And remember, the 2 guys we're most looking out for here are Bruno Coelho and Alberto Pico. So let's see if we can pick up Coelho first. Where's Coelho running as it stands? He's just coming up to the HP carousel. Second of the 2 orange cars coming in shot there with the white front. There he is. He is the man to watch, and he's going to get held up a little bit maybe. No, good pass. Very good pass. That shouldn't have delayed his momentum too much. Now, he and Pico are both in the top 10 overall in qualifying, so they've sort of managed to break out of their respective heats. As I say, much like Robin Dahont and Lamberto Collari managed to do in their respective heats. So they've been able to break out here, and Coelho, after round 4, was sitting 5th overall. Now remember, there's still some shuffling to be done in terms of drop scores and things like that. But with guys like Robert Peach outside the top 10 as it stands, this could be major. Coelho will be gunning at the very least for a spot in one of those Super Pole sessions coming up after this round of qualifying. And at the moment, he's doing everything he can to get there. He is right on pace. Not quite in the 24-lap bracket. That is reserved only for the very top end. But a few guys have managed to do that across this weekend. So far, it's this heat's between Coelho, Tironi and Greiner. And Coelho still running nicely. Now, where's our other guy that we're watching? Alberto Pico. Let's just see if we can find him. He'll come up to the HP carousel now, the white and green car. There he is, just coming round the carousel now and across the finish line there. Now, remember that. The finish line is there. It's not on this straight. It's not on the pit straight where you'd expect it. So through the EFRA hairpin. Crucial for a good lap here. The launch out of that corner. And a great speed down the main straight. Excellent camera shot there. Just exemplifies just how fast those cars are going at the end of the straight. And I like the fact they've even got a speed trap here to show you just how fast they're going at the end of the main straight. There we go, through the double apex left and up to about 60 miles an hour as they hit the carousel, where a lot of these corners here are cambered in. They're almost banked in, so you can kind of slide the car in. And this track has a lot of trickiness. It may look flat to you, and it is largely a kind of flat circuit. It's not exactly a Nordschleife or a Bathurst in terms of elevation changes, but it's got a lot of trickery there. And I'll just show you here in turn 1. Right there's a little bump, and that can really unsettle the cars right in the middle of the racing line. You can't really avoid it, but it's just about knowing how to kind of traverse that bump without it unsettling the car. If the car's already sliding, that's when you're going to hit problems, because that thing's just going to throw you completely off balance. So we are tracking Alberto Pico right now. Now remember, he and Coelho are the 2 in the top 10, but we got some others up there. Looks to me like Francesco Tironi's doing some good laps as well. There's a sort of rotating selection at the top end. Greiner's up there as well. He's been showing good speed on and off the weekend. Adrian Bertin seems to be on a pretty good run as well. Now, where's Bertin's car? Bertin's is the bright orange car. It'll come up to the HP carousel now. I think it's directly behind the car we're following. Through the D'Agostini D, they all come. And he comes around onto the main straight. That's him there. That's Andrea Bertin, the 2-time world champion and the 2-time European champion. So a man who has huge pedigree and who knows how to wheel his HP car to maximum speed. That's what he'll be trying to do here. He's not been quite on his A game, the Frenchman, but he still has a shot here of making it into Super Pole at the very least. That's what he'll be going for. And that multicolour car looking fantastic on the screens. Kind of white flashes on the front, mostly kind of red-orange. It's mostly an orange car. Some yellow and blue flashes on it as well. Looks great. And coming through the final corners. Now, as you see, there, that little bump there, there's a little line almost across the track. That's where that little bump is. And that EFRA hairpin there, the rumble strips down there, they don't look that big on camera. They look almost flat. They look like you could just shortcut across them. Not so. Those things can be tyre killers for cars. And we saw in one of the qualifying sessions earlier, a lot of flips on that rumble strip there, just on the inside. A lot of guys were clipping that rumble strip and hitting issues. So it's all about it being fast and clean in these sessions. It looks like most of these guys are doing just that. They're locking in laps here and putting their best foot forward. We're down into the final 15 seconds. This is it. Still no one predicted to do a 24-lapper, so it's between the guys on 23 laps to see who will win this heat and who will potentially progress up into Super Bowl and beyond. They come round for the final time, and that'll be heat over. That's it. It's all over. And let's see how that shook out. Because once again, it was a game of musical chairs at the top end. And in the end, it was Adrian Bertin, the former world and European champion, who shakes out as the man in front when the music stopped. A great, great performance. Masterful drive. That's much more like it. We haven't seen those kind of drives quite as much as we'd want, or as much as he'd want across the sessions, but that was much better from him. Alberto Pico in the end comes home second. Another solid run, 5 minutes 5.7, complete 23 laps. That should safely lock him in at least into the top 10 overall, if not in the Super Bowl positions. Nicola Morone, another good run. She's been sporadically, they've been sporadically on the pace this weekend. Finishes third in this one. Dominic Greiner fourth. Another solid run, fifth for Tironi. But look at that, down the bottom. Bruno Coelho, 10th. Lost laps at the end there, only completed 21 laps. So some sort of technical issue curtailing his run, and could that affect his placing in the top 10? Remember, he was safely in 5th coming into this round. It'll be very interesting to check the overall scores. Remember, you can have up to 2 dropped scores, and Coelho, remember, has those 2 heat wins, as well as a second and some very strong runs. So hopefully that one anomaly should not knock him down the field too much. And now here we go, the last heat of qualifying for the EFRA 1/8 scale IC Euros. Our coverage presented by HB Europe, D'Agostini Model Space and EFRA. And here are the guys who will be contending for that top qualifier spot. The storyline going into this one will be the men between the man rolling off second, Simon Kurzbuch, the Swiss driver, and Gilles Grosskamp in 7th place in the number 9 car. That is the story. Those two were almost completely locked together after 4 rounds of qualifying. Both of them having several drop scores, having several poor runs, or 1 or 2 results that did not go their way. And so it's between those two largely who will get top qualifier, but there are still a lot of talented drivers in this field who could jump up and spring a surprise. Robert Piech, have we seen the best out of him this week so far? I don't think we have. I think he's got a few heat wins under his belt, but there's still more to come. And he's frustratingly let it slip in the last few heats. He hasn't been quite on it so much. And we've got others like Dario Balestri, who is a very, very strong contender. Between him and Piech, if they haven't won something, it's probably not worth talking about. They are multi-times European champion and world champion. Balestri is the reigning champ coming into this one. He'll want for better. He was down the wrong end of the top 10 for him. And Piech is the man trying to regain his title, having won it in 2012 and 2010. Gilles Grosskamp, though, has been the class of the field so far. John Ehrman, Timu Lino, Silvio Hackler and Oliver Mack have also all shown pace in this one. That's how they roll off. Top 5 inverted, and then the 5 guys behind them also inverted. This is going to be an absolutely fascinating duel. Hold on to your hats. This is going to be a stormer. Actually going through warm-up now. We are just following Simon Kurzbuch's car, so that'll be one to watch as they go through. He'll be rolling off second, so bear that in mind. He'll have Maximilian Vogel, the German driver, in front of him when they roll off, but if he times his start, he should not get delayed too much, but there you feel like there will come a point where he might get stalled a little bit by Vogel. And could that play into Grosskamp's hands? But then again, Grosskamp starting down in 7th is going to have 6 cars potentially in front of him. Sometimes it can work to your favour. If you're rolling off at the very back, then you can sort of gap to the car in front of you and make sure you do not have space in front of you, or you do have space in front of you to drive into, if you will, and not get delayed like that. But for both of these guys, they're going to have to do it the hard way. This is going to be an absolute stormer. And with guys like Balestri, Hoppe, Hackler, Ehrman and Lino, and Oliver Mack in there, this whole field's strong. There is, when you get to this end of qualifying, when you get to the very top heats, it is all quality all the time. There are no duds here. There are no people here just to make up the numbers. These are the very cream of the crop. If you want to find your potential 2015 European champion, you start in the heat, in this heat and the previous one, and go from there, because it's most likely that the champion will come from those heats. They return to the pits then. 30 seconds to go. Final heat of qualifying. And remember, these 10 drivers will be battling for that top qualifier spot, which will guarantee them straight into the Saturday's final. And if they can't get that, they will also be looking for a spot in the Super Pole sessions coming up next up, which will be nothing but white-hot intensity. So we're going for their very fastest lap to also try and get a spot in that final. But for now, the last heat of qualifying at the EFRA 1/8 IC Euros 2015 is go. And that is interesting, look at that. Keursbuck actually slipped past Vogel, coming out of the pit lane almost. Made the pass at the very first corner, and that could be absolutely pivotal as they come around and start the first lap there at the finish line just before the final corner, before the pit straight. And how vital could that be for Keursbuck? It's between him and Groschkamp, remember. And Keursbuck, by immediately passing Vogel, who looked like he was half asleep coming out of the pit lane, he has now given himself effectively the best part of almost a lap. Well, not quite a lap, about half a lap or so, at least a few corners of free space. And he's got plenty of room. The next car ahead of him is the number 7 of John Ehrman, who is at least a straight away from him as he comes through the D'Agostini D and completes another lap. How pivotal could this be for Keursbuck? Well, he's already jumped to the top of the standings, but we know that it's very difficult to get a lock on the timing until they've done at least a few laps, and even then it keeps changing constantly throughout. But Keursbuck has taken advantage already, and he's not far off a 24-lap run here. If he can get a 24-lap run under his belt, that'd be massive, especially if Groschkamp cannot. So we continue to follow Keursbuck down the pit lane straight. And coming through now. Now, where is Groschkamp in amongst all this? Where is he? The number 9 seeded car is coming through the EFRA hairpin now in the all-white car, which means he'll be at the HP carousel right now. There he is. There is Groschkamp, the 2013 European champion, and the man looking to take it to a straight fight between himself and Keursbuck for that top qualifier spot. And his lap times just don't seem to be doing it right now. It's just not quite there as it stands. It's definitely advantage Keursbuck. Keursbuck with that crucial move past Vogel at the start of the race to move through into the lead. Well, the lead effectively on track and get some free space between himself and everyone else. Has left Groschkamp floundering. Groschkamp is still, it's such a competitive heat, but Groschkamp is not really there in terms of pace. A man who is, however, is Robert Peach. This is much more like the speed we were expecting from Peach. See if we can pick him up. He's coming through the EFRA hairpin now. We're just behind the number 3 car, the blue and white car, up at the HP car. In second of those 2 cars in your picture, there he is. There's Robert Peach, the reigning champion. No, sorry, the 2012 and 2010 European champion. Balestre is the reigning champion of this event from 2014. And there is Peach, and this is far, far better from Peach. This is much more like the pace we saw in early qualifying. And he had a few poor runs. So remember, there is still a chance for Peach. Once drop scores are taken into account, there's still a chance for Peach as well. The German driver who we spoke to in the pit walk yesterday, and he was feeling pretty good about his car. Trying out some new bits and bobs on it, trying out some new parts, some new suspension parts, all looking for that crucial advantage. And right now, he sits a comfortable second with 3 guys potentially, 2 or 3 guys potentially on 24-lap runs. No one's quite there at the moment, but it's between Keursbuck, Peach and Dario Balestre, the reigning champion, as to who will win out this heat and potentially take the top qualifier spot. It is right down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen, but I tell you, someone who just still isn't there right now is Jiles Groschkamp. Jiles Groschkamp, I think his starting position for this race has really hurt him. Couple that with Keursbuck's lightning start, I think that's given the advantage to Keursbuck. Teemu Laino actually has the fastest lap of the race so far, 12.931. He's around 4th spot in the current running. So we've got about a minute to go. Let's see if we can pick up Teemu's car. It's the number 6. And these blurs of colour. He'll be the bright orange car coming up to the HP hairpin now. In fact, he's already got him. There we go. Good job, Frank, our cameraman. And he moves through now. Lino will be using a different body, or a different coloured body, for the races tomorrow. So expect to see this car look a bit different tomorrow. It is the same car, but some guys will use different body shells between qualifying and the race. Normally just an aesthetic thing. Normally they've got, that's all it is really. This body shell will probably be just as quick as the other one. But it's bright orange, which still helps us. It's still a very distinctive colour. And Lino has shown pace in fits and starts across the session. In fact, he's in the lane. He's in the lane, and this is not scheduled. That was not scheduled at all. That was a good 30 seconds before the end. He's back out again, though. Well, I wonder if he felt like a shot at Superpole was lost, and whether he just came in to fiddle with the car. Maybe for him, this is now a practice session. And he's definitely got traffic now. He's got the number 3. Well, he did have the number 3 of Lars Hoppe in front of him. Good job there. Nice way of navigating through. Coming down to the final 10 seconds then. It's on a knife edge. It is pretty much between Kurzbuch, Balestre and Piche as to who will take out this final heat and lock themselves in as top qualifier. And there is it. There it is. Time's up. It's all over. And at the end of all that, Simon Kurzbuch takes the heat out. How pivotal could that be for his chances of going through his top qualifier? He was right there alongside Gilles Groschkamp going into this round, and another heat win will do his chances the world of good. He beats out Dario Balestre, the reigning champion, who was not far behind in the end, and Robert Piche up there in third in the number 2 seeded car. That's a much better performance for him. He'll want more of that as they go through the weekend. Oliver Mack fourth, Lars Hoppe 5th, Maximilian Vogel 6th, 7th for John Ehrman, 8th for Teemu Lino, 9th for Silvio Hackler, and Gilles Groschkamp 10th. Dead last in his heat, did not even complete the same amount of laps. And how big a blow will that be to his chances? We'll let you know as coming up will be coverage of the Superpole sessions, new for 2015. They are going to be white hot intensity as the drivers who just missed out on top qualifying slot will be doing their best to get a second top qualifying spot with their fastest possible lap in a 3-minute time span. It is all about that one hot lap, nailing the best lap you can. It is going to be unbelievable, and we're going to bring you all the coverage right here on RC Racing TV, presented by HB Europe, D'Agostini Model Space and EFRA. We'll see you there.